Thank you. My name is Brian Shaler, and I'm talking about physical computing in Arduino. It's about basically taking inputs from the real world, computing them, and then putting them back into the real world through outputs. So sensors to servos. What do you get? Robots and cool stuff like that. And this is a little bit complex, though. Like, as a daunting task as a software developer to look at this and say, how do I make it? You know, I don't know how. I just know how to write, you know, a little bit of code. So this is just out of my league. I don't know how to program a bootloader through serial onto this and wire that and solder this. So there's a huge barrier to entry for a software developer who doesn't have an electronic engineering type background, which is why Arduino is great for people like me and Developer Ignite. A lot of us are probably software developers. So it's got a built-in USB interface, and that makes it plug and play easy. And you can make cool stuff like this. I'm not sure how many people can see it, but it's saying Arduino in an animated fashion. So it's an open source hardware and software platform that essentially allows you to install an IDE, type a little bit of code, hit one button, and it all gets transferred to the device, and it reboots automatically, runs the program that you just wrote, and then you make tons of money. It's really cool, right? So this, as I was saying, with the barrier to entry as a software developer, I can just buy this $30 to $60, depending on how many of these little ports you want. Put in that little bit of code. I mean, that is a reasonable amount of code to put on a slide in a presentation, right? I mean, a couple of lines, and that'll blink an LED. It's great. So a lot of us software developers, we know what SDKs are. This is essentially your hardware development kit. You've got a bunch of sensors. You just plug them in, and they will start giving you numbers, essentially, through this Arduino platform. You can have dials or various other sensors. So a dial specifically is variable resistance. You turn it, and it'll start giving you a different number between 0 and 1023, typically through Arduino. The same thing happens with a light sensor. And while the program is running, you can take the wire from your dial, plug it into this, and your program will not know the difference because you're still just getting a number, which is great for people like me. I don't want to have to worry about, you know, the ins and outs of how these sensors or anything are actually working. With this ultrasonic rangefinder, you send a pulse, you wait a certain amount of time to receive a pulse, however long it takes to get back. And the sound, or the speed of sound, that's how far something is away. So Charlie plexing is what makes this work. 8 wires are controlling 50 LEDs. It's magic. Seriously, it's crazy, but these little 8 wires, that's it. This, I couldn't come up with a cool photo for this, I'm sorry, but some cool stuff that might intrigue some software developers is what you can do using this. You can communicate from your computer to this device. So some very practical applications. If you actually want to do something useful with your time, probably not the best picture to represent this, but I don't know. So here, some Adobe people, I'm guessing by these logos, you can actually create a desktop app using Air or anything else you want, and then start interacting with devices. And what they're doing, I can see it says 72 degrees there. So home automation is a great thing that you can do. Power-ups for your car, you can turn it into kit using this. I could take these LEDs, just plug it in and write a little bit of code, and I'll have hello. And then this is one of the cool things that I saw before I heard about Arduino, but the wooden mirror. It takes a webcam input, and it takes the pixels from the guy's face and rotates wood to create different amounts of light, different brightness and pixels. So really, really cool stuff that you can do with Arduino.